Oh my god, we're being taken over by Disney!
We open this week with Ageha playing pretend with her students.
Kid, I know you want to be in the better hero show, but sometimes we just have to cope. By the way, what's your thoughts about the season so far? I think it's pretty good just from the first 3 episodes I've seen.
Anyway, while Takeru, the kid from Ageha's Cure debut episode, proved to be a terrible secret keeper when he almost revealed his sensei's second job, he did at least maintain the morality he had learned from her in that episode, and even tried to share it with others, including a kid who was trying to build a sandcastle. Good stuff that even kind of cleverly foreshadowed the climax to this episode.
Well, true, they did end up making her the OP cleric of this show.
Anyway, the opening for the broadcast version of this show had stopped previewing All Stars F, meaning this week we finally got a proper update to it, which included just Gearhead replacing Minotone in the middle. So yeah, I was unfortunately wrong, and they didn't add any more for Her Majesty. Welp. Anyway, Ageha stayed up late to write her next lesson plan, and ended up sleeping on the floor. Alright, I know that can't be comfy, but I'm also kind of distracted by the fact that she was writing on iPad, if only because I just saw that in another show where even the kids were using them for school. And speaking of which, when she met with Takeru the next day, he was gloomy because...
タケルくんが引っ越し？転校するんだって。え？転校?
There's deja vu. There's language processing. There's deja vu.
These writers really need to watch their feet more because they're clearly stepping all over each other.
Anyway, she of course tried to cheer up Takeru, and while she was being a little forceful, considering that the kid was clearly depressed, she thankfully recognized when she should pull back and just give the kid some space.
Well, obviously, the next course of action is to try and force Takeru's parents to stay behind, even though this is none of your business and... Oh wait, Ageha's trying to be the sensible cure, right? Sorry, my mistake.
Nah, but seriously, like how Nozomi's conflicts as an educator did work in the context of her show, which you can see in another review coming very soon, Ageha's dilemma also made sense for her established backstory. As on top of being a noob to this whole teaching thing, she had also been in a similar situation as Takeru, and realized it was a delicate issue that you can't expect a kid to get over easily, or for external conflicts to resolve themselves.
Kind of wish Nozomi had that same sense, but again, save that for another video.
Anyway, she also revealed that her preschool teacher had helped her through her parents' separation, which likely started her down her current career path by wanting to emulate this lady with some very familiar looking hair. Anyway, she ended up agonizing over what she could do for Takeru until the very next day. Noticing this, her pet, Tsubasa, followed her to school. Okay, maybe I wasn't that far off. But yeah, he was of course there just to encourage Ageha to be herself, as that's the teacher that all of her students had come to admire. Simple, yet effective words that he could have just have coolly left her with, but then she had to say his name.
僕は忙しいので。
Okay, now y'all are taking a little too much from the S5 team.
Later, she got a chance to take the bird's words to heart and played with Takeru in the sand after everyone else went in. As a result, the two ended up recollecting all the nice times they had together, with the adult cure shedding the first tears as a result. Yeah, this was a bit of a cheesy, schmaltzy scene with a one-off character, but I won't lie, it kind of got me, and at least it didn't overstay its welcome. In fact, I would say this was actually a pretty good emotional high, and would have minded if they had just started to wrap up the episode here, but then this guy had to show up. Also, at first, I thought for sure he was going to turn their sandcastle into a monster, but then I realized they'd probably get sued by Game Freak if they did that. Still, a nice follow-up to the previous episode, Takeru ended up being the one to tell everyone to evacuate the school, letting the Precure have yet another underwhelming fight. I mean, again, it wasn't bad, especially the last sequence that we'll get to in just a bit, but some of the stuff with the B team just felt off. For instance, I get that Ageha projected her shield in front of her here, leaving her open to be hit by some homing acorns, but it didn't look like it moved that much in front of her, and in fact, why would she keep her shield a little closer to her to have better control?
The answer is don't think about it.
Of course, the rest of their team soon joined in, including L.
So, Mr. Yahtzee, are you gonna do anything about the princess over there? I mean, she's in Precure form right now, but you could have gotten her while she was in toddler form, or are you just gonna stand around like that until, like, the final arc? Okay, cool, I guess.
一体何を考えているのか。
Don't ask me, Sora!
But yeah, as I said, the animation only really got good for this final sequence with Ageha when, for whatever reason, Yu Yoshiyama and their super detailed frame-skipping style took over. I mean, I get that they seem to be in charge of all of Ageha's major sequences, but still, it's a weird allocation of a talented animator to just put a bow on top of a rather sloppy fight, really. Oh well, at least it was a pretty bow, I guess. Anyway, we then got unquestionably the biggest twist of this whole series so far. Takeru's grandmother turned out to be Aga's preschool teacher. Yeah, I get that their surnames are likely different, but still, it's just a little odd that they didn't realize it until now, as it has been implied that they had met at least a few times after Aga began working here, but whatever. They had a nice exchange where the granny gave her former student full marks on her performance as a new educator.
さっきもタケルくんの前で泣いてしまって。
Ageha, compared to your senpai, you are nowhere near as melodramatic.
And the episode ended with Ageha giving her student a nice send-off, again animated by Yoshiyama, that makes me believe that it was no coincidence that this episode aired on the same day as the first episode of the Yes 5 sequel. Now, if only there were some dudes around who could recreate that one meme that I really don't get.
This was a pretty nice episode, and honestly, probably one of my favorite Aga episodes so far.
Granted, that's not a high bar, as in my opinion, many of her episodes have either been just okay or the absolute worst of the season, but still, praise where it's due. This had some genuinely nice moments that actually work with Aga's previously established traits and even expanded upon.
And if I'm gonna be perfectly honest, I think I liked her performance as a teacher a little more than Nozomi's, but again, that's a subject for another video.
While I'm still not completely sold on the B team of the show, at least compared to the real stars, who actually have connections to the main plot that hopefully we will return to soon enough, I will admit I do at least appreciate when they actually utilize their unique traits for this franchise. Aga's first steps to becoming a teacher did unfortunately take a bit of a backseat in her Hummer ever since her Cure debut episode, so I guess it was appropriate that we circle back with a second and likely last Takeru story. And again, I like that it tied back to her own backstory, leading to an understandable uncertainty on how to deal with the issue that can't just be forcibly resolved, as it might have led to some more discomfort for the kid. As a result, even Tsubasa got a good moment to shine as her immediate partner and support. It didn't really highlight his trait as the first male cure, and that nightline was kind of eye-rolling, but at least these two make for a nice team. It led to some pleasant moments that really made this episode, unlike the fight that was just kind of there. Sure, Yoshiyama's animation was great as always, but it did feel a little superfluous here. Whatever, it did take away from an overall nice episode. The B team got their time to shine, while everything else, like Spearhead, was kind of in the shadows. Seriously, dude, now that you're in the opening, you should at least try to do something at this point.
Shortly after the premiere for this review, hopefully we should have the first episode review for Ultra Precure up as well.
Originally, we were going to try and pump something out early Saturday, but y'all were very understanding and respectful of my sleep schedule. Seriously though, thank you for understanding, and probably see you again in just a few hours.
And until next time though, farewell for now my friends, and hold on. Hello? No, she forgot her sneakers again. Alright, I'll bring her spares. An uncle's job is never over.